Greetings, I'm Laura Puccia Valtorta. Welcome to a new episode of my short story podcast, B is for Bisexual, Season 3, Episode 8, a story entitled Home Sweet Home, because really, what is the meaning of home? We have some semi-familiar characters in these roles today, and the first story in this series, as you may remember, was entitled The Arborists. Reading with me today are my son, Dante.
Hello.
And my husband, Marco.
Buongiorno.
Marco, who's always a wag, asked me to double his salary for doing this, which is fine because 2 times 0 is still affordable for me. I'm an attorney and a creator, and one of my latest films called AI in the Family, available on the Fossum channel, has been really helpful for me because I've been learning about artificial intelligence, and I've also been using ChatGPT to help me with film distribution strategies. I want to find a home for my screenplay about Italy entitled Pasticceria Fausto, and Chatty, as I like to call the AI, has been helpful finding ideas for that. A shout out to listeners in Hong Kong, Los Angeles, Irmo, South Carolina, and Maryland. Dear listener, we live in perilous times. Keep fighting. And now, home sweet home. 2 years into her undergraduate days at the University of Mexico, Honey Mays decided she needed to spend one summer at Marge's in Alabama, back in the States, to see if life in the United States under the new military regime was any better than life in Mexico. Except for classes and singing some blues with her guitar at local taquerias, Honey lived pretty isolated in Mexico on the commune near Oaxaca that her dad Oliver and his special friend Peebles had built to escape the possibility of incarceration. Her mother, Celadine's special friend Lavinia, Oliver, Peebles, Marge, Bobbert, and her twin sister Bunny were all too tall, brown, and queer and American to mix with the locals without standing out like some huge basketball team. The Mexican guys called her Bambina Basketball. Bunny, her twin sister, was doing well with her biology classes, but Honey was tired of being the only English speaker in her classes, and who wanted to study Spanish anyway when it was right out there being spoken on the streets? The real reason for going back home was that Honey wanted to check out Diesel Tedesco, Slim's son, to see if he was as cute as she remembered from 2 years ago, as cute and as tall. Her sister Bunny said,
"Send me back a full report."
Marge was only too happy to accompany her to the States.
"Get me out of here,"
she said to Honey as they were chopping agave.
"I need to check on my house and my garden. I'll write to Slim. Tell him we're coming."
Bobbert, Marge's special friend, was not at all pleased with this plan.
"Don't go," she told Marge. "We're having an adventure here in Oaxaca, and I need to be with you."
"My Spanish is terrible,"
said Marge.
"I think I need to reclaim my homestead in the United States. Maybe I can do something. Fight back."
She had joined the Democratic Socialists of the South from a website and was eager to attend the next meeting in Birmingham.
"Good luck with that plan," said Bobbert. "The goats and the donkeys need me here."
Bobbert had bonded instantly with the Mexicans. She was assigned the weekly shopping for the commune, and the locals applauded her good cheer and her burgeoning but very bad Spanish.
"Tres libras de judías verdes, por favor, amigas," she practiced. 50 botella d'agua.
For fun, she had joined a circle of mixed-tech women who were also teaching her their own language.
"These short women are fun," she told Marge. "You should join me. They've been fighting for their rights here in Mexico since the 1500s.
Marge was unimpressed.
Black people never got their rights in the United States. Never.
Calm down, said Bobbert. You should get Peebles to give you a real job on our farm.
Part of the problem was that Celadine and Bunny had commandeered the big kitchen. Dinners were always experimental meat dishes plus rice and beans. They barely allowed Marge to cut up the vegetables. She took to drinking mezcal and watching YouTube videos of tsunamis and animal attacks. It was time to go home. The trip from Oaxaca to Alabama was mainly rural. Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, lots of farmland, cows, goats, broken down houses. It was hard to see where the rising democracy of Claudia Sheinbaum ended and the dictatorship of Donald Trump began. The key was in the billboards. In Mexico, they advertised regional elections and Tabasco sauce. In the U.S., after crossing the border and showing their shining American passports, all they could see was Trump propaganda. The president is great. Say no to socialism. And women are different.
Yeah, they're different, all right.
Snorted Marge.
We're better. I saw a bunch of posters like this on my trip to Cuba. At least in Cuba, they recognized women were important.
Honey preferred to keep the conversation light.
Whatever, I can't wait to see my friends.
She declared.
I wonder what they're all doing.
If any of them got to college in this economy, I'll eat my hat.
Said Marge.
You don't wear a hat.
Pointed out Honey.
Exactly.
Marge seemed to be more combative since they had crossed the border. Honey saw this as a good sign of life. Maybe Marge was a fighter, and in Mexico, there was not that much to fight about. All the drug activity centered on selling to the U.S. Oliver and Peebles made sure that the cartels did not bother their commune by giving them free mezcal. Their mezcal was not as fine and delicious as that made by the Mexicans, but free was free, and they were learning to make it better on the commune. Bobbert was a big part of that effort. She liked wrapping the agave and starting the fires. She had lost 10 pounds. In Alabama, Marge would have something to protest, a group of angry socialists. Honey just hoped that her house, apartment, and garden were still in good order. They were driving the green Kia Soul, dated 2019. At the gas stations, they loaded up on American junk food.
I need chips.
Marge kept saying.
American potato chips.
She bought a large variety pack of the deadly kind.
I need Coca-Cola.
She declared, scanning the shelves.
Just one glass bottle of it and the whole carton of bubbly.
Honey bought sandwiches and cans of mixed nuts for herself. Austin, Texas was one of the places they stayed for the night because Marge wanted to see what had happened to it.
When I was a young woman,
she told Honey,
I thought about living here because of the guitar music and the vibe, but the land and the rents were too high.
The city had been hit hard by the dictatorship. Their motel was trashy. Most of South Congress Street was boarded up. There were more homeless hanging around than usual. But free guitar concerts were still taking place in parking lots. The musicians did look shabby. Marge and Honey bought tacos and watched a group of 5 female guitarists and a male singer next to Guero's. It was rocking. Marge convinced Honey to dance.
Let's go to Barton Springs,
said Marge. The park gates had been destroyed and trampled down. Instead of waiting for a pass or a ticket, folks just walked directly to the springs, the giant cold natural swimming pool, and jumped into the frigid water. Freedom surrounded the springs like sunlight. Marge and Honey jumped in.
Oh, cold, cold,
said Honey when she surfaced.
Yowie,
said Marge. They swam from side to side of the rocky enclosure, saying nothing. Afterwards, they sat on towels drying off. The Texas summer air felt hot and oppressive.
The government cannot destroy Barton Springs,
said Marge. They camped in the parking lot rather than waste money at a hotel,
That was our bathtub,
said Marge. Their breakfast was snacks. Do-do-do-do. After that, they had 3 more days of driving. Marge was antsy during the last day and a half, driving most of the way. She was anxious to get home. People along the way sold them produce from their gardens. There were hardly any trucks on the road, and the shelves in the stores were empty. Everyone shopped at Dollar General and grew their own tomatoes. The cities were starving. The blogs warned people to stay away from Birmingham and Atlanta. In small Jacksonville, Alabama, they could see that the university was still in session. Kids were busy learning math, engineering, medicine, writing, and computing. The ecology department had reformed itself out of necessity, and the students were building their own solar panels and hooking them up to the grid. Everything was do-it-yourself. A group of 10 university professors, 6 of them women, ran the local water system,
We need this kind of ingenuity in Oaxaca.
said Honey,
It's good we live in a small town.
said Marge as she steered the Kia Soul toward her house.
Small towns survive.
At Marge's place, the grass needed cutting. "Oh, the yard is not my fault," said Slim, who walked out to meet them. "There's no gas for a lawnmower, and I haven't been able to find anything electric,"
I'll hook the mower up to a solar panel,
said Marge.
like my rototiller.
Honey was glad to see that Slim and his family had packed up and were leaving willingly. His wife, Tracy, and their younger son, Van, had their suitcases. "We're staying with my brother, Chub, at the old house," said Slim. "He needs to find a new place."
Where's Diesel?
asked Honey. Slim snorted with disgust. "He's studying law at the university in Birmingham. I told him not to do that. There's no law anymore." Inside, the house was a bit of a mess,
They broke my red-faced jug,
said Marge.
but at least the pig-faced one is still here.
Do-do-do-do. Honey claimed the apartment over the garage and lugged her suitcase and guitar up there. The bed was stripped, but the place still smelled pury like teenaged boy. She opened all of the windows and made up the bed. By the time she had disinfected the bathroom, things began to look more like home. She lay on the bed and slept. When she woke up around 2 p.m., Diesel was staring at her. He had grown about 1 foot in 2 years, and his hair was a messy, twisted afro. "I hope you're comfortable," he smiled. "That was my bed."
Well, Marge said I could stay here, and this is her house.
"Marge is not your grandma," said Diesel. He sat on the bed. Honey had considered how to explain things to an American yokel like Diesel, who grew up in a cellular family and wore a Simpsons t-shirt.
We live on a commune.
She told him.
Marge's son and my dad are lovers.
Whoa,
Said Diesel.
I never heard that. Are you Mormons or something?
No.
Laughed Honey.
But we do share work, and we don't believe in cookie-cutter families. You're thinking of Mitt Romney's style. That's old-school religion. We stand up for everybody's rights.
Whoa, said Diesel again. "Things are bad here in the U.S. My friend Will got arrested for sleeping with a guy,"
The Mexicans don't arrest homosexuals.
said Honey.
We have a female president, Claudia Sheinbaum. That's why. She stands for human rights.
"My dad says the American judicial system is broken," said Diesel, "which is too bad because my dad helps people a lot and he's a lawyer,"
My people say your dad is great.
said Honey.
Why don't we check out the music scene in Jacksonville tonight?
They went out and talked about how the law was different in Mexico, how it turned a blind eye. "I need to experience that for myself," said Diesel. Woo, 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 woo. Marge missed Bobert real bad up until the 3 p.m. moment she arrived at the Democratic Socialists of America, Anniston chapter. The sign outside the restaurant said, "Chili Cook-Off," which Marge had been alerted to in the clandestine email. She passed through the restaurant and gave the middle finger salute. The blue-haired cashier returned the finger, opened the secret door, and Marge descended to the basement. The small group of 20 activists around the table looked worn out and desiccated, even those who may have been as young as teenagers. Marge was glad she had brought sugar cookies and lemonade, and the lemons had been available at Walmart. The activists descended upon the food like a ravenous mob. "Thanks," said a curly-haired white woman wearing a plaid shirt and cutoffs. "We was hungry." When Marge revealed that she had been living in Mexico, the group went wild.
Wow, tell us about it.
"Did you drink some good tequila? How about them cartels? Are they all hooked on fentanyl now?"
What are you talking about?
said Marge.
The cartels only sell to Americans.
"Well, you're an American," said the curly-haired white woman whose name tag said Sally. "Or have you forgotten?"
I don't know. Am I?
Without warning, Sally stood up and held Marge in a powerful embrace. "We are socialists," said Sally. "We reject all them categories, except for the geographical ones, maybe." Marge thought about her late mother, Opal, a kindly woman, a potato farmer who had blonde hair and a commanding voice. She missed her mother and her mother's open mind. The group settled down and began to strategize. They did a round-robin introduction. "I'm Filbert, I'm Sally, I'm Ashley," etc.
I'm Large Marge.
said Marge, even though she was only 5'10". That night, Marge fixed dinner for Diesel and Honey. It was cheesy potato casserole, carrot salad, and a cracker crust lemon pie. "This food sure is good," said Diesel. He sat very close to Honey.
Thank your family for taking care of my house, even though you broke my recliner.
"Oh, that was my brother Van," said Diesel.
It's a real mess.
So you blame him for everything.
Noted Honey. Diesel stared at the ceiling.
You could say that.
If you stay here,
Said Marge.
maybe in the guest bedroom I can cook for you.
Honey shifted around in her seat.
We've been thinking.
She said,
Diesel here wants to see Mexico.
There's nothing to see there.
said Marge.
Nothing but cactus and Mexicans.
I want to hear the music,
Said Diesel.
and observe the court system.
Much more interesting in the U.S.
Said Marge.
We're going to think about it,
Said Honey.
and maybe travel south in a month.
You two think about it real hard.
Said Marge.
There's important work for me to do right here in Alabama.
The next day there were letters from Bobbert and Bunny. Apparently the mezcal was selling and Bunny had won a student medal. They begged Marge and Honey to drive back home. Doo-doo-doo-doo. That's the end.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Arrivederci!
Ciao.
Ciao.